how were you first introduced with the character Rick Hunter, and how had you gotten the part?
Well, I had, about a year and a half before, I had done a part on, it was the first anime that I ever worked on, which was a thing called The Thief Prince and the Fire Child, which just got re-released about a year ago, which was kind of cool. And that had ended up on television. Suddenly, out of the blue, I get a phone call from Robert Barron. And he asked me to come in and audition for something, and he didn't tell me what it was. And it turned out to be, I guess, what's called a paid audition, where they actually had me do some voices on a Japanese soap opera that they were dubbing. And out of that, they cast me in this. The way they described it was just a little 3-episode pilot of a thing called Macross, and don't expect it to go anywhere, but come in and it'd be a nice little bit amount of work. And so I went ahead and did it, and then about a month later, they called me back, said, "We sold the series, you got to come in and work." So, I mean, that's kind of how I got the part. The introduction of the character kind of came slowly as I was doing it. I mean, I really, it was only the second anime I'd ever been involved in, and it kind of, it was so different than anything I'd ever seen before that it was just, you know, I just kind of did what they told me to do. I mean, I was a young actor. I was just happy to work, and had never done anything quite like this before. So it was just kind of an interesting thing. I kind of learned about Rick as the audience did, as we recorded the shows. In fact, when we got to the episode where Roy was killed, I was stunned. I mean, because they didn't tell us in advance that was going to happen, and I found out as I was reading the dialogue in the studio. So it was kind of a process of discovery, both on how to be a voice actor, and what this thing called anime was that I'd never really seen before, and this wonderful story as it unfolded.
Yeah, I have to admit, the first time I ever watched Robotech, I was introduced to it by my boyfriend. He knew I had gotten attached to Roy and Rick, and I was really fond of the two characters. And when Roy died, I was like, "Why didn't you tell me that was coming?" But it was, you know, even in the book, it's so detailed, and you know, with the anime, I know that they have a lot more violence in them sometimes than they do in the United States, like in Japan. Yeah. So, from what I've been told, they actually cut quite a bit of that out, where, you know, he was, I guess his back was supposed to be covered in blood and everything, and to the, you know, real details of what had happened to Roy, like in the cockpit of the, you know, the vehicle and everything, that there was supposed to be some damage and everything, but they cut it all out.
Yeah, they did. There was a lot of re-editing that was done on that for a couple of reasons. Number one, there was, you know, the what you could put on TV was a lot more conservative back then than it is now. And also, you know, it was, how do I put this? Carl Masek had a vision about what he wanted to do by combining these three series, and even though Macross and Robotech start in the same place, there's a place where it diverges, and there was a lot of re-editing to accommodate the story that was coming once we, you know, when we went into the Southern Cross and Mosquito section. So yeah, there was a lot of that. There's still some of that happens today, but not quite as much of it. American audiences are a lot more used to anime the way it's presented in Japan. Although there's still stuff that you can't show on TV that they show, and that stuff gets cut out.
Yeah.
If it's going on television, I mean, if it's for DVD, they present it as is.
Yeah, back in the 80s too, I think they were a lot more strict, you know, with what they would show in violence. And I guess in today's world, they're still like that. But I mean, just like with cartoons like Transformers, I seem to remember them having complaints about shooting each other and different things like that, you know, where adults, you know, would be complaining, and I'd be like, "Oh, I think it's great," you know, but then I was a kid at the time, so. Yeah, but they were always against that. And then I know with Robotech, it was more like you were dubbing, so most of the time that you would be by yourself with the recordings, correct?
Yeah, I did. Well, I was. In fact, I knew very few of the cast members. We were moving so fast. because they got this series, and then we had to get it done really quickly. So they were moving so fast that there was very little time for socializing. I mean, I think we all went out to, a bunch of the main cast went out to lunch right before we started, and that was about it. I knew Reba. I'd run into her coming out of the studio, and a couple of other people. But I mean, literally, I went to a Robotech convention, which I think was Robotech 10, where they gathered the entire cast together, and there were people there that I've been working with for 10 years that I had no idea were in Robotech. So yeah, we were by ourselves by and large.
Yeah, so it was just the first time meeting. When you mentioned Robotech conventions, I've heard very little about them. I know they used to go on, but are those conventions still going on? Do you know?
Well, the original Robotech conventions were put on by a company called Creation Conventions, which is the people that do the Star Trek conventions. And while the show was hot on television, they did those, and then they kind of dropped off after a couple of years. Then a guy by the name of Tom Bateman and his brother picked up the mantle. They put on their own convention called Robotech 10, Robocon 10. And other than that, there's been two or three other gatherings, but usually they're attached to an existing convention. So the 20th anniversary was actually attached to the Anime Expo in Los Angeles, and there was a 25th anniversary celebration that was kind of done in LA by the Batemans, same people who did the original one, as a dinner, kind of an evening for people. That was kind of cool because they had all three casts together. It was fun. But by and large, there's not individual conventions for Robotech. They're usually part of an anime convention that's existing.
And they just have a gathering sometimes of different actors.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any memorabilia, any kind of sales, anything that you've kept from the original show?
No, I wish I did. Had I known that all these years later people would still be interested in this little show, I might have kept for things like that. But no, I don't. Except for things I've gathered along the way or that fans have given me. I have like a bust of Rick. I've got one of the collectible Robotech fighters. I do have a toy that the only thing that's really kind of cool is this one toy that Carl gave me back when we were doing it, and it was an original Robotech fighter from Japan. It's in the original Japanese packaging. But other than that, I don't have a lot. No, I wish I did.
Yeah, there's some really cool. Being a collector of Robotech, we pretty much have every figure that was ever released and every Veritech, the SDF-1, all that good stuff. But other than the Robotech questions, what have you been up to lately? Is there anything that you can share with the fans?
Well, yeah. I mean, I just wrapped. I direct mostly. I mean, I still do a lot of voice acting, but I direct mostly for a living. And I just completed. I just wrapped on production on K-On!, which I'm the ADR director for. And that's going to be kind of the big focus on the couple of conventions that I'm going to this year, including Otakon. K-On!'s a great little show. It's about a group of girls high school girls that form a band, and it's just a sweet kind of comedy, and it's an unusual anime in that there's no aliens, there's no giant robots. It's just a nice story. It's also I just completed doing some voice work on a couple of shows I wish I could talk about, but one's an original show. It's a Christian piece about Bible stories and birds and things like that. So I do original animation as well. I've got some parts on Durala, which is now just the air. Monster, Blue Dragon. I do voice Bleach and Naruto, and then currently I'm performing in a musical in down in Hollywood, live on stage. So we have another 2 weeks of that run. It's called Working down at the Story Theater in Hollywood. So yeah, I've just been doing as much as I can, and writing a lot, and just keeping myself as busy as I can.
Yeah, and I was noticing that. I mean, there's a ton of animation. I mean, I loved you for Rick for Robotech, but then I was looking at all the things you've done throughout the years, and you have an amazing list put together.
Well, gotta pay the bills, you know.
Yeah, I was like, he's not just Rick Hunter. But yeah.
Well, no, I also got to be. I was lucky enough to be cast as Lupin the Third for the TV series, and there's been a few things here and there that have really kind of put me in some nice projects that people actually get to see. So, been very lucky.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Lupin too. I talk to Richard Epcar quite often about Jigen and about since I am a Robotech fan. He got me on this subject once about, there's a bunch of pilots on the SDF-1. So I said,
right.
They have to have, like, things to entertain them besides arcades. And I don't know if it was he or I that brought it up, but it was mentioned that there was strip clubs on the SDF-1. And he says, oh, yes. He said, Ben Dixon went to those often. And and I even brought that up to one of the writers once, and they said, where did you get that idea from? And I said, it was all Richard's fault.
That sounds like Richard.
Yeah, he brought that up and just had us all rolling. A bunch of my friends were reading the comments and just laughing about it because they said, they're adult males that are in the, a ship, they're in war and everything. They have to have something to entertain them on their time off, other than video games.
Well, yeah, they should. I mean, it's a complete city in space, so they should have it.
Yeah, we'll just have to hope that Lin Min-Mei wasn't in there anywhere. But
there is actually one other thing I'd like to talk about really quick. You asked me what I was up to, and I've forgotten. And I have this thing that I've been doing in partnership with Bang Zoom Entertainment called the Adventures in Voice Acting, and it's these day-long seminars that I teach all across the country. I do L.A., San Francisco, Seattle, Baltimore, New York, Washington D.C., Chicago, and there's these day-long workshops that I teach as special classes for people who are interested in becoming voice actors ultimately. Have a beginning, middle, and advanced class. I've been doing that for the last couple of years, and coming up this weekend at Anime Expo, we're launching a audio series. A series of 30 to 40 minute, basically audio tracks that people can purchase and download onto their computer and mobile devices. That kind of gives some of the lessons that I teach in the workshops, plus go into other subjects like working with directors, how to audition, what it's like to be an actor, that stuff. So that stuff is launching this weekend nationally. And we're using Anime Expo as the forum to jump that off. We've already test marketed it in Seattle. People seem to like it. So that's the other thing I'm doing, just trying to get that out there and see if people might be interested in listening to me talk for 30 minutes at a time.
Now, is there a website too to link up to this to find out more?
Yes, it'll be available on www.adventuresinvoiceacting.com.
Yeah, because my cousin's been driving me nuts. She knows I contact some voice actors for interviews, and she wants to become a voice actor, but I don't think she realizes what she has to do or how much work goes into it. Yeah, it's
a process of commitment. First thing she needs to do is get some acting training. However, local college, city college, university, however it is, wherever you go, but that's the basis of all of it. Is you have to be an actor first. Yeah. I started by doing stage work for years before I ever voice acted. But that website will. I don't think the link will be active until Friday, and I'm not sure how they're going to put it on there. Whether it's going to have its own separate page or link, or whether you have to go to the workshops page because there's a workshop link on that thing. Or she can sign up for one of our workshops. I should be setting one up in Baltimore area, probably in late August or mid-September.
Well, I'll definitely mention it to her then, and I have a ton of other friends that contact me on Facebook saying, "Do you know how to become a voice actor?" And it's like, I've never really thought of it, because at my age I figured, maybe I shouldn't try. But you know, the younger fans, I think that if they really want to be gung-ho and try it, you know, my cousin's only she's 21, so I think she could start off. But I definitely will post that and get the word out on that. And aside from that, could you say hello to the fans? Do you remember anything about Rick where you could maybe give a message to the fans or shout out to the fans as Rick Hunter? I don't know.
Yeah. What did you have in mind?
Let me think. I should say something with the conflict between him and with Lisa and Min-Mei never being able to decide. He had such a rough love life with those two.
Yeah. Let me think about something. Give me a sec. Keep talking. I'll think of something, and then we'll do it.
That was such a complicated love life. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever watched the '80s cartoon with Jim and the Holograms. That was a Jim cartoon by Wally Burr. He directed it, voice directed it, anyways.
No, I knew Wally, but no, I don't think I saw that.
Yeah, well, what it was this love triangle where this guy was in love with two girls, but it was the same girl. She was a hologram. She would actually change her form into a different girl, and he thought it was two different girls. And it's almost the same thing as what Rick went through, where he's like, who do I love more? Who do I want to be with? You know, it was horrible. I felt sorry for Lisa, though. She went through so much.
Yeah, but in the end, she gets him. I mean, you know.
Yeah, she does. She does get him in the end, but she had to fight a movie star to get him. But
Yeah. All right. Let me see if I can come up with something here. All right. Yeah. Here goes. You know, it's always tough to decide. You know, Lisa, Min-Mei, I just don't know what to do. You guys want to help me out here? Hi, everybody. I'm just trying to figure things out, and what? Uh-oh, I gotta go. Bye.